The 19th session of the Human Rights Council, the Council's main session for 2012, took place in Geneva from the 27th of February to the 23rd of March. Over the course of the 4-week session, the heaviest since the Council's inception 6 years ago, dozens of themes and country situations were addressed by the 47-member body. One of the stories dominating the scene throughout the meeting was the situation in Syria, on which an urgent debate was held shortly after the session began. Addressing the urgent meeting on Syria was Nasser Abdulaziz al-Nasser, President of the UN General Assembly.
I am deeply concerned by this situation, especially with use of tanks, rockets and artillery by the Syrian authorities against civilians. The international community must increase its mobilization. The Syrian authorities must immediately end the killings and halt all human rights violations.
Addressing the debate on Syria was UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navi Pillay.
In the face of the unspeakable violations that take place every moment, I remain convinced that referring the situation of Syria to the International Criminal Court will be a step in the right direction.
Now a well-established feature of the Council, this main session included a high-level segment during its first week, which drew over 80 ministers and other high-level dignitaries to Geneva to address the UN's premier human rights body. Early in the session, the Council also heard a presentation from the High Commissioner for Human Rights, who briefed participants on the key activities of her office over the course of 2011.
Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 2011 was a year critical for human rights. It was a year of substantial challenges in human rights linked to the global economic, climate, energy and food crises, famine in the Horn of Africa, armed conflict, racism and xenophobia, and lingering poverty. It was also a year when we witnessed the mobilization of civil society contesting repressive power structures and failed forms of governance, particularly in the Middle East and North Africa. In some countries, legitimate demands for freedom, equality and justice were met with extreme violence and repression.
The Council also held 9 panel discussions, bringing together a host of experts addressing key human rights issues, aimed at heightening awareness and generating action. Another discussion focused on the issue of discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation, the subject of a groundbreaking yet controversial report produced by the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in late 2011. Yet another panel addressed the issue of persons with disabilities, focusing on their political participation and their role in public life. Also addressing the Council during the session were 14 independent human rights experts, commonly referred to as special procedures, who addressed a wide range of themes and country situations. The long list of issues addressed by these experts included torture, human rights defenders, disappearances, freedom of religion, the right to food, adequate housing, arbitrary detention, internally displaced persons, violence against children and the rights of minorities. The Council also heard from 4 country-specific mandate holders, namely from the Special Rapporteurs on the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Myanmar, the Republic of Iran and the Independent Expert on Côte d'Ivoire. The Council also heard from the Commission of Inquiry on Libya, who presented their final report addressing human rights violations in the country. Commission Chair Judge Philippe Kirsch.
The Commission confirms its earlier findings that there have been crimes committed by Gaddafi forces within the context of a widespread or systematic attack against a civilian population with knowledge of the attack, these constituting crimes against humanity.
The presentation on the report of the Commission of Inquiry also provided an opportunity for the new Libyan government to spell out its next steps to address the many human rights priorities in the country. Another Commission of Inquiry, which presented a report to the Council, was that on Syria. The report's conclusion indicated that the human rights and humanitarian situation in the country was becoming bleaker day after day as a result of the continuing crisis. During the session, history was made when the first cycle of the Universal Periodic Review was officially closed. Through this unique process, all 193 member states have had their human rights record reviewed, thus rendering the process truly universal. At the conclusion of the session, the Council adopted 41 texts on a wide range of issues, including appointing a special rapporteur on the issue of human rights and the environment. The Council also decided to extend mandates of the special rapporteurs on Iran, on the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, on Myanmar, on Haiti, and the mandate of the special procedure in the field of cultural rights for a period of 3 years. The Council also decided to dispatch an independent international fact-finding mission on Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem, and in the occupied Syrian Golan. A resolution was also passed on the human rights situation in Sri Lanka, an issue which had also been discussed widely throughout the session. In the resolution, the Council called on the government to implement the recommendations made in the so-called LLRC report, or the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission report. The 47-member body also extended the mandate of the Commission of Inquiry on Syria, requesting it to conduct and continuously update a mapping exercise of gross violations of human rights committed in the country since March 2011.